AOS.
That could be a new term, AOS.
If AI feels like chaos right now, it's not the tools, it's the system. People are duct taping LLMs into workflows they do not trust. There's cracks that are showing up super fast. Well, here at the Process of Elimination, we're here to address that.
We're here to eliminate that.
We're here to eliminate that. I'm Justin L. Brown.
And I'm Ryan Edwards.
And today we're going to talk about the dirty secret behind failed AI rollouts. Your SOP is already broken. AI just exposed it.
That's right. And I just want to clarify one thing right from the start.
Please.
SOP is not a dirty word.
A standard operating procedure. Everybody has them. If you're a homemaker, if you're a plumber, if you're in marketing like you and I are in, everybody has an SOP.
Yeah, SOPs are basically the things that you do over and over again the same way because you know it works best. And that's a great analogy you hinted at. As like a homemaker, you do the dishes. You do the dishes in a certain way every single time. You have your soap over here, your thing set up over there, because that works best for you and it's repeatable. That's your SOPs.
What we're finding is that people in a lot of these companies are plugging in AI tools as like a silver bullet, the end all to be all, something that's just going to make things super fast. But in that process, there is a lack of process. There's the individuals that are doing things with AI. There's organizations that might do a process in a certain way that might tell you to use it for certain things, but no real guidance is talked about. So that's what I want to talk to you about. What should people be doing when they look at their SOP and implementing these AI tools? Like, what is the problem with the standard way that people are using AI right now?
The problems that companies are facing is there's a rise in this element, shadow AI. And shadow AI is just refers to as people outside of an organized structure, outside of a team environment, workflow or SOP. They're just using AI because they recognize that they need efficiencies. Because let's face it, in today's work world, it's becoming more demanding. And the ask is to do more and more and more with less people, with less resources, with less time. So let's say we work with the marketing department and we're both analyzing the paid social. But if I'm using AI and I'm prompting AI in one completely different way than you're prompting AI, we might end up having AI giving it the wrong instructions, giving it the wrong formulas, but working on the same project and have different outcomes. In the case of that marketing for paid social, that outcome may result in a waste of thousands and millions of dollars of budgets, all because we simply didn't work together on how we're using AI. Also, we didn't coordinate on what we were uploading to AI, and AI is only as good as what you put into it.
So basically, AI doesn't fail. It's really just revealing failure.
Right. AI, like you said to start, it's not, AI is just exposing the lack of operating procedures, workflows, standardization.
Yeah. When I was at a certain company, they have access to an AI tool. And you actually gave me a warning when I first started at that company that really stuck with me. And I want you to talk about it. You said that when people are using AI without necessarily understanding the process, there's a degradation in the actual information that the AI is pulling, whether it's summarizing things, whether it's distilling things down into bullet point actions, and then that degradation of information ends up really hurting you in the end when it's time to deliver. You might not realize until you're 15 steps into the process that there was a deliverable left out, or there was a certain CTA that you were supposed to make sure was in that project. Can you kind of dive into that and tell me what you were thinking?
Right. And this is a big problem, particularly in mid-level organizations. Let's say you have a team in your company of only like 6 people and you're trying to work efficiently. You have a meeting, you have a few AI note takers in the meeting. I love AI note takers. It's in every single meeting I do. It summarizes the meeting. You use that. I send out my summary to you. You combine it using AI to your AI note taker, and you send it to somebody else with some action items. They just put it into the calendar, and then they send out that to the people doing the jobs. There's been 4 AI touches and only one person reading it. So now there's just been a large degree of summaries. The asks might have been changed. Those small details that are so important, the nuances that mean everything, have now gotten lost. And, instead of saying, hey, this needs to be done on Thursday for this reason, it's now this needs to be done on a Thursday, for an example, and that might be changed. I have seen in organizations where that's happened and projects have failed because they missed deadlines or when it's time for the final project to be shown, one person is just like, here's the project, and the stakeholder was just like, this was not what I asked for.
That really stuck with me when I was at that company, and I definitely did my best to audit what I was actually intaking and making sure that the information that I was sending out was a little bit more precise because of that.
And here's the crazy thing. The solution for that, which is becoming a huge problem, isn't complex. It isn't paying a lot of money for a new AI. It's not, learning how to code or learning how to do these complex integrations. It's quite simply creating a workflow that makes sure that it puts you, me, or anybody into the workflow to check AI. In that example I gave you, there should have been 3 people in the workflow to double check and just correct it. Then all of a sudden AI turns from a liability into your biggest asset.
Yeah. I have a lot of friends that have their work computer and have their personal computer. And then they'll have a tool that would be able to go in between, and they might take a brief from their work computer, slide it over to their personal computer, use their favorite GPT or Claude or Gemini or Copilot, whatever that is, and do their work in there. And then once they get the result they want, they'll move it back over to their work computer. And they've been swearing by that as an individual. Obviously, from a higher level, there's probably some ramifications that could potentially come along with that.
First of all, you have to understand one thing. Companies exist for one reason, to generate revenue. You generate revenue by scaling, by efficiencies. And what this is creating, the shadow AI is creating, is a massive efficiency gap. The individual is becoming very efficient for that single person to do their work. But now you have multiple people becoming very efficient at doing their work in different ways. And that creates the gap, because now there's a gap because that can't be repeated because it's 10 people on a team. Now you have 10 different SOPs, 10 different workflows. It can't be repeated and it can't be scaled. That's the efficiency gap. You have individuals working a lot quicker, but the output of the team and the efficiency of the group, the division, the team actually will become less, or they'll become more efficient with a lesser product. And that's the outcome of shadow AI. And that's not the individual's fault. That's not your fault, your friend's fault. They're doing the absolute right thing because more is being asked of them. And there's a solution out there. And they're saying, I'm going to get innovative. I'm going to use the solution, as they should. The problem is from the organizational level, that you need to have a culture of using AI. The team leader level, the team leader needs to always be saying, the team leader should always be reworking their SOPs and their workflows. Long before AI, this should have been ingrained in the team leader. They should be asking the question, how are you going to use AI as an individual? How are we going to use AI as a team? And how are we going to use AI as an organization? And how do all of those 3 things support each other?
Is this something that management should be concerned with? How quickly should they be looking into their SOP and trying to move over from their personal computer. Now, you know what? Now we have the tools that you need on our side, and we have a procedure in place so that way you can be even more efficient. Is this something that they should kind of just wait and see? This is something that they should look at and be like, we'll get to it by the summer. Really be diligent, roll it out slowly, kind of like how Apple rolls out a little bit late, but they're really good? Or should they be like moving with some fire up under them?
They should be moving with some fire up under them, and for one very big reason. What you said was perfect in the opening statement, that the problem isn't that AI is the problem. The AI is exposing problems and cracks that already existed. As an organization, you should be auditing your SOPs and your workflows, and as a team, once a quarter or once every 6 months, integrating, be it AI, be it anything else, what new innovations you can and what's impacting. What this is showing is everybody stopped doing that. So it's not an AI problem. It's a problem in how you function as a team. It's a function in how you use SOPs and workflows. And then you should be working with the individuals to integrate AI into those. So like, as you said, it's not an AI problem. It's a foundational problem in how you approach your workflows and structures. And AI is there to boost you. AI is there to make you more efficient. And AI is there to increase your product if you work it within that way.
So we've talked about using legacy standard operating procedures and then shoehorning AI into that procedure and then expecting these great results, and you probably aren't going to get the greatest results. So now we can get into it. Let's get into the framework that we've actually built out to help people understand where they're actually at in their AI journey. And we call it the 5 layers of AI fluency. We have the first layer, which is awareness, second layer, which is application, then it goes to alignment, then integration, and then adaptation. And I'm aware that most people are stuck between application and alignment. That space where they have already, everybody's pretty much aware. If you're listening to this podcast, you're likely aware that AI is out there. And some of us have already downloaded a GPT or a Claude or any of these other LLMs to actually use it. And then some of us have even made some sort of master prompts and made some sort of workflow that has made their life a little bit easier. But then when it comes to integration and full alignment, that is kind of saved for the few and far between. So I want to dive into each layer and kind of get your assessment on it. So let's start with awareness.
So I look at it a lot like learning a language. You watch TV, you watch movies, you go out, you're exposed, you read the news, Spanish exists, French exists, Italian exists. And then, through culturally, you might pick up, watching TV, a few phrases like, yo quiero Taco Bell.
That's a great phrase.
Hey, use it every day.
I miss that dog.
I know. The dog and the double chalupa meal, man, but the Mexican pizzas are back.
Yes. Okay, keep going. We're not sponsored by them.
So, you have that awareness. And like you said, it's high awareness. If you look at the stats right now, awareness in AI is really high. To move on to the next one, what age group do you think adaptation is highest in?
I'm going to go with the younger demographic. I'm going to say 14 to 30.
Adaptation is highest in 45 plus.
Believe it or not, I'm close to that. So maybe that's why we're here.
Yeah, I'm roughly in that group.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Maybe not, maybe lower.
And the reason why is quite simple. AI is not a trend. AI is not, hey, here's just a nice way to know what's happening in the world. AI is productivity. AI is a focused way to improve your work. In that generation, people, as you get older, they're hyper-focused now on that. That's also happens to be the age, most people don't know this, of most startups, founders, entrepreneurs tend to be older. They're looking for ways to do more with less.
That makes actually so much sense because when you get to the 45 plus, you've already developed a skill in some field. And that skill is pretty dialed in by that time. So you're able to utilize AI to help with the processes that might take a little bit longer, that you don't necessarily need to sit down and dive into, but you still need to be able to think through how that process works. So I understand how that could be the age group. We have awareness, we have application, and we have some alignment, which is probably in that group where they're hyper focused in a field already and they're having some real world success in that application.
Yeah, and alignment is I'm aligning AI to meet my immediate needs. You're usually not looking for your future needs. You're just looking for your immediate need. It's sort of like learning a language. Alignment is I'm going on vacation or I'm doing a work trip. I am going to get a book that tells me key phrases, how to find the bathroom, how to order at a restaurant, very key, specific, purpose-driven phrases. I by no means know the language, but I can now have alignment in achieving certain objectives.
That makes a lot of sense because the only Spanish I know is the Taco Bell menu. So we probably should diversify that a little bit and get out there. So with alignment, being able to walk around in the country and be able to get a cab and know where the bathroom is and understand directions. If there's a lot of people in the startup sector that has some sort of awareness and understanding and they're utilizing it, what do you think that gap is? Like 20%? Is it smaller?
In the startup world, it's roughly assumed that 40% of the people are regularly using AI.
40%.
Now, keep in mind, regularly using AI, and this is where it gets into this maturity model that you're talking about, because that's what that is a maturity model, is regularly using AI might be to write a better email. It does.
Got it.
Writing a better email is important, and I use AI for that every day, and a lot of people are. Not very many people are using AI for more complex tasks.
Got it.
Like, how do I, if you're in the CPG world, consumer packaged goods, how do I use AI to optimize my distribution and logistics workflow, which is an extremely complicated task.
Okay, so now we're getting to, I feel like, layer 4, which is integration.
That's where the magic starts to happen.
Okay.
Because that's when, yes, AI helps you write a better email. AI helps you with spell check. AI helps you get really quick answers to large questions. You can even put a spreadsheet in AI of all your expenses and say, AI, help me do my taxes. And AI will help you do that. But that's not integration. Because let's face it, that you're just shifting the work from going out and hiring a person at H&R Block or someplace like that to AI to do your taxes. Integration would be like in the CPG world when you start using AI for your logistics and fulfillment and looking for efficiencies in that. And that's where it comes into play, where you have to understand your SOPs and your workflows. Because to make a complete sentence out of that and define it, how do we integrate AI into our SOPs and workflows to create efficiencies that we can scale to generate more revenue?
So once you've had that integration and been able to utilize it, that's when you get to the final layer, the final boss, adaptation.
Adaptation is where you've now become, for lack of a better term, AI has now been integrated. And AI is part of your workflow, and you use it without even realizing you're using it. Great example is, go back to the language example. Adaptation isn't necessarily fluency in the language. It's not that you can read and write poetry in the language. It's deeper than that. Adaptation is you can go out and you can make friends in that country that only speak that language and have no communication barrier. That's adaptation. AI has now been adapted into what your business so much that you can now rely on it. You know that you've integrated it well enough so you don't have any hallucinations and you can count on it and it's repeatable. now is simply part of your workflow.
It would be great to not only have friends, but friends outside of Taco Bell.
There's a whole world outside of Taco
There is a
Bell.
whole world. And I feel like we're all inside of a Taco Bell right now.
I know.
Not all, you're not. I'm getting there. I'm at the door. I can feel the draft.
I branched out,
You did.
in and out.
In and out. Let's go. That is where we all aspire to be, is in the adaptation space. A lot of us think we are, but I think after they hear this, we might realize that we're not, which is okay, because that means we have space to grow.
And here's the crazy thing. You should never only be an adaptation. You should be half an adaptation, half an integration, because your business changes, the world changes, the needs changes, and you might adapt only in one area of the business and not in the other. So it's a cycle. It's not just I'm now in this flow. I'm going back and forth. I've used AI in this area, now I'm expanding it to this next area. Or now that adaptation has scaled me to this point, I now see other ways I can integrate it to achieve a higher level of adaptation.
That's amazing. So to recap, the 5 layers of AI fluency, we have awareness, application, alignment, integration, and adaptation. I love that, because what you just said was, once we get it in one area, it's almost like life. Just because we have one section of life all figured out in some way, or figured out better than others, that does not mean that there is a plethora of other things that we could dive into to see how we can go back to the integration phase and get those spaces into adaptation.
Yes, just like the 5-layer burrito at Taco Bell.
I'm so hungry right now. Let's get into it. All right, so here's where the fun begins. This is what we want to do. We want to ask our audience, take a look at your last campaign, see where AI was used, see where it could have been, and then see if it just added noise or if it actually was helpful, because that's where the truth is. So if this episode actually sparks something in you, share it with your team, share it with your CCO, new business lead, whoever owns the workflow. And if you're ready to really fix your SOP, Camino 5's built for this. Let's talk. Next week, we're going to dive into what it actually means to be sharper, not just smarter with AI. Because it's not about just getting an answer, it's about getting actual results. Until next time, thank you for watching Process of Elimination.